Today, I'm going to talk about GEO, or getting found on ChatGPT, versus SEO.
Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by Jane, a clinic management software built to help you focus on what matters most, your patients. Building rapport with your patients is important during appointments, and that can be challenging when you're also trying to take timely and detailed documentation. That's why Jane built AI Scribe to help you document important information without the manual note-taking. This feature transforms your sessions, seriously, it's amazing, into chart entries, and all you have to do is review your notes, sign the chart, and you're done. And since security is a top priority at Jane, seriously, it is so important to them. AI Scribe was built securely in-house to be fully HIPAA and PIP EDA compliant. With a tool you can trust, Jane helps you spend more time on patient care. To learn more about how Jane can help change how you feel about documentation, head to meet.jane.app/documentation to book a demo or sign up. And if you're ready to go, don't forget to use my code LEX1MO for a 1-month grace period on your new Jane account. And if you're curious about AI Scribe, I highly recommend you go ahead and take a demo with Jane, because I saw it in action and it is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Up in My Business. I am recording for you today late on a Sunday afternoon, as always, but we're preparing to go for dinner at a friend's house, and I have spent most of today dissecting a situation that happened today while I was grocery shopping. I am not going to go into details, but I am just coming to this episode mentally a little bit late today. And so please have patience with me. And at some point, maybe I'll talk about it, but it's also just one of those things where you're like, I feel like one of those people on Facebook, please pray for me, but not telling you what's going on. Everyone is safe. Everything is fine. But just being a part of a situation was just a lot. And so my nervous system had a total sympathetic dump, and then, spent the last couple of hours or 5 hours recovering from that. Every plan that I had today went out the window, as far as I was going to lift and I was going to do a ton of work and get ahead on some stuff. Yeah, that definitely did not happen. So here we are. I already had this episode mostly planned out as far as what I wanted to talk about, and it's going to be a quick one because I did do a post on this, and what I had to say on that post was honestly as simple as I wanted to make it, because here's the thing, when we talk about SEO and GEO, or getting found, GEO is actually, there are two different ways to talk about GEO. So GEO can be your location, location based, so geographic, right? But what I'm talking about when it comes to GEO is actually getting found on AI software. So that would be Generative Engine Optimization, like ChatGPT. So I had written a post about it, and I really sat with it because I wanted to make sure that it made sense to not only people who know what SEO is, but also the people who don't. And then also people who do and don't know what GEO is or haven't really heard much about it. So I'm pretty much going to reiterate what I said there with, as always, a little bit more voice around the topic and a little bit more details and nuance, what have you. So I won't, not too many personal business updates right now. I will say going into September, it's, we're in the Q4. It's wild. We're already here. But personal update, Shanté and I celebrated our anniversary this past weekend. We went bike riding. It was really fun. We ended up riding for, I don't know how many miles it was, but it was an hour and a half both ways. So it was really fun. And it's been super freaking hot in California. So I have my ceiling fan on right now, and I rarely have shorts and a tank top on in the house. It's always a sweatshirt. And I have had shorts and a tank top on all day today because it's so warm. In Southern California, we don't have air conditioning. At least we don't where we are, because it's usually really cool. But this one week in August, it's always like an 80-degree week. So it's hot. And I know like my Arizona people, they're probably thinking like, this is not even close to being hot. Try 118, try 120. But I choose to not live there. So it's just been a little bit hot since, I don't know, probably Tuesday. So let's just jump right in. So SEO, the basics of SEO, right? That is the process of optimizing the content on your website, which means website pages, your blogs, your podcast inserts, so that you can show up as high as possible in Google searches. But this is only when your ideal client searches for your service or information about your specialty area. You're not trying to come up first for every single search. You're not trying to come up first for people who aren't your ideal client. The whole goal is to come up as high as you possibly can for your ideal client. Because it doesn't matter if you come up high on search for someone who likely isn't going to work with you. That doesn't make sense, right? GEO, or Generative Engine Optimization, getting found on ChatGPT, is the process of optimizing your content for AI-driven search engines and generative models, so that way you can show up in searches within the AI summary section and inside of something like ChatGPT and other AI models. But again, it's when your ideal client searches for your service or information about your specialty area, right? So at the heart of it, they influence each other, because you can't have good GEO, so you can't get found on ChatGPT without having good SEO, right? Doesn't that make sense? Because GEO relies on the completed implementation of SEO principles. So you can't show up on ChatGPT if you haven't done any sort of optimization on your website, because ChatGPT is pulling from the internet. That should all make sense, right? So you can't just you can't just come up on ChatGPT if you don't have a website, if you only have a Google My Business, if you have a very basic website, or if you have not had Google actually go look at your website. You can't just come up on ChatGPT if you don't have good SEO in place, right? Now, the main difference between the two things, if we talk about ChatGPT or AI software or AI search engines or AI software options and search engines, AI search engines, just like Google, or search engines like Google, they rely heavily on what we call keyword matching. So what that means is if you have keywords on your website, in the text on your website, then you can show up for that search. If you don't have it on your site, then you can't show up for that search, period. So it's like, if you have it, you have the potential to show up for it. If you don't have it, you have absolutely zero potential for coming up for it. Now, when it comes to GEO, in general, it focuses a lot on content quality. So content has to be comprehensive, it has to be authoritative, which that just means that you are an expert and the content is accurate and reliable. And then the content must be relevant to the search being made. So if someone searches for something, your content has to be the answer. It has to be a really good answer, has to be accurate and reliable, and then also it has to be relevant to the actual search being made. So if someone is searching for physical therapy, your chiropractic practice is not going to come up, right? Because it's not relevant to the search being made. If someone searches for how to stop knee pain when running, a blog post about pregnancy and postpartum is not going to show up. That should make sense, right? And that is the same thing for SEO, which I'm going to get into in a second. But ChatGPT and GEO and how you come up over other people is your content better than someone else? Do you have more authority to have that content? And are you the person to be talking about it? And is it relevant? Now, when it comes to SEO, right? So that was GEO, that's coming up on ChatGPT. But to maximize your organic reach with SEO and coming up on search engines like Google, and to actually have a chance to beat other people, because don't forget, you have to now beat other people on Google. So it's not just about you coming up on Google and coming up in search results. It's you beating other people to come up closer to number one. And in order to do that, you actually have to have content that is comprehensive, authoritative, and relevant. which is the same exact thing that you have to have for coming up on ChatGPT. So at the heart of it, SEO and GEO are the same basic principles. And what comes first? Mastering SEO. Because when you master that, when you do the baseline SEO implementation, you're going to end up mastering the GEO side as well, because there is no choice, right? So my clients who are doing really well on ChatGPT, they have baseline SEO in place, and also they have had a huge commitment to creating content around their specialty area, aka they are a binge-worthy source about a specific content discipline area. Now, I've said it time and time again, the whole point of blogging and SEO, if you really want to get started with that, it's write a lot about a little. So you write a whole lot about one specific topic area, and then you can go write a whole lot about another specific topic area, right? So it's one of those things where it's all the same, but I think people are trying to separate out ChatGPT and coming up on ChatGPT. You can't do that. You can't just optimize your website to come up on ChatGPT. In order to do that, you have to actually implement SEO principles. And yes, there are specific ones, but if we just lay the baseline foundation here, exactly what I just said before, it's creating content that's really good, super in depth. You are the person that should be creating it, aka you have credentials, you have the capability to talk about that specific topic, and you're able to, let's just say, create a more comprehensive outline than someone who has already created it. So your content is better. And when you're able to do that, that's obviously one step, but the step before that is making sure that Google's actually looking at your website, making sure your website is easy to navigate, making sure you have content on your website, right? So we have a home, about, we have service pages. If you have my website audit mini course, like you know exactly what I'm talking about with that. And my SEO crash course as well. I can link both of those in the show notes, but that's how you master GEO. It's not just like something different than SEO. And I've been reading a lot, honestly, of research articles. And I know AI like really became quote unquote big in the last couple of years, but it's been forever that they've been talking about how to do this and what this is going to look like. So at the heart of it, SEO principles are the same. And when you have really good SEO, that's what's going to get you to show up on ChatGPT and have good GEO as well. And that's all I've got for you. That's all the things that I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to dive too deep into like what to do, how to do it, because I think the first step is to be able to tell someone, hey, look, go listen to this because this is how you're going to show up on ChatGPT. It's not anything different than SEO. If anything, I mean, it is the same old, and it's always been this way. So master SEO, master GEO. All right, friends, I hope you have a great rest of your week. That's all I have for you. I will catch you next time.